Hello, my fireflies, and welcome back to the TheCyanFirefly. It's me, Lyat.
And Azuli.
And today we have a very special Sunday sit-down for you all. We've actually managed to secure a very cool guest. So, Dan, if you'd introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan Bull. You may or may not have heard of me, but I am probably best known for making rap music about computer games and other geeky topics.
Yes. I don't really like to refer to myself as a fan, but I have been listening to Dan's music for quite a while now, and he is pretty awesome, so...
I'm glad you think so. I did get to hear some of your singing earlier, which was... I'll call it awesome too. We'll leave it there.
You are too kind. Yes, we have been having some interesting technical difficulties today. We did start recording a little while earlier, but the audio completely borked itself, so we're using a different method this time around. Hopefully that'll work out just fine.
Unfortunately, technology loves to just crap out at you at that pivotal moment.
I've had a whole day of technical nightmares at the moment because I had a virus. I had some malware on my computer which I was trying to remove, and I ended up not removing the malware and removing some stuff from the registry which my computer needed. So I think I was performing heart surgery without any qualifications, and obviously it didn't enjoy it when I restarted it, and it was just a black screen. It didn't even bring up the BIOS, and it took me...
Did you kill your startup kernels?
I don't know what happened, really. I shouldn't have been messing in there, but yeah, so I restarted it, and it didn't even show the BIOS, so I had nothing I could do. And it took me about an hour to realize that the reason that the BIOS wasn't even showing was because my screen wasn't connected properly. So that was seriously annoying. I mean, it was connected, but I've got a dual screen setup, and for some reason it was displaying, rather than displaying on both screens, it was displaying on neither of the screens. I don't know if it couldn't decide which one. So I unplugged one of them, and then it just magically appeared on the other screen. But then it took me the rest of the afternoon to try and get the thing to turn back on, because at that point I'd restarted the computer blindly so many times that it obviously thought there was a serious problem, and it was going into restore mode and stuff.
Oh, jeez.
So it all could have been avoided, but never mind.
Yeah, well...
We've had our fair share of those kind of issues.
Computers can be pretty tricky from time to time, and we have... For instance, I'm having an interesting USB problem right now where occasionally a USB will lose power for absolutely no reason, and it always seems to happen on the USB that my mouse is connected to. So in the middle of playing a game, my mouse will just completely stop responding, and I'll have to swap USB ports.
Although that is a convenient excuse for if you perform badly in a game, you can just say, oh well, my mouse stopped working.
You know, there are times that I think he's done that on purpose too.
Yeah, it's good. I have a good excuse as well, where I don't know why, but my new mouse is really susceptible. You know, if you get like a bit of hair or fluff in the laser and then it doesn't move properly.
Yes.
This happens all the time with that. So if ever I perform badly in a game, I just say, well,
there's some fluff.
Yeah, there's fluff in my laser. There's nothing to do with my skill.
There's fluff in my laser. That sounds like a futuristic
sounds like a
plasma rifle problem.
We should put that on a t-shirt.
Yes, that would be beautiful.
I guess that's the reason why all the stormtroopers missed Luke and Leia on this Death Star.
Yeah, they use the same complaint when they miss.
Anyway, so the footage in the background of this particular video, of course, is going to be Guild Wars 2, which is something we all have been playing quite a bit. Well, I know you've been playing it at least a little bit. There is some on your gameplay channel.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying like at least the visual side of Guild Wars 2, but I'm not much of an MMO player, so it's kind of overwhelming for me, all the information that's on screen at the same time, and just like the amount of buttons you need to remember and what does what, and what everyone on screen is doing. On one of my most recent videos, you can see me trying to play World versus World with my friend and just being completely overwhelmed with what the hell was happening. So I don't want to say it's a bad game or anything like that. I'm not qualified to say it's a bad game, but I'm kind of struggling to work out how to enjoy it, let's say that.
TLDR, Dan Bull is a noob when it comes to Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, I guess that's probably summarizes it. But yeah, you can go and watch me bumbling my way through it. in on my channel, YouTube/DanBallGames, if you want to see that.
Yes, there will be a link down below where everybody can go see Dan Bull's music channel and his gaming channel.
Yep.
Go subscribe to him because he is very much worth it, I can assure you. So, have you actually done anything in particular, like storyline-wise or event-wise, that you have enjoyed quite a bit?
Yeah, I've been enjoying the personal storyline. I chose to play as a Sylvari Ranger, so I don't know how many different personal storylines there are, but mine is
3 at the start. There are 3 different ones.
Yeah, so I've woken up in the Sylvari homeland, and that's all very nice to look at. And my personal story is about chasing a knight, and she has to repeatedly fight against this green knight, I think he's called, or black knight. I can't remember now.
Yeah, that bastard.
Yeah.
Yep, that's actually the same storyline that I'm in the middle of completing.
Yeah.
So that's actually quite interesting.
Okay, well, don't give me any spoilers because I haven't given up on Guild Wars yet. I'm going to carry on, but
yes.
I think it's
no spoilers, no spoilers.
all I say is that guy annoying as hell.
Yeah, is he as annoying as the little yellow robot in Borderlands? Because that's what I've been playing lately, and that robot's been pissing me off completely.
Oh, the Claptraps.
Claptraps.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
Claptrap. He just stands around in Firestone and tells you things repeatedly that he's told you before. It's probably more annoying for me because I'm trying to record my own voice for the Let's Play, and he's just interrupting me constantly. But
well,
that sounds like the guy in Bastion.
Let's take this as a Claptrap who is attacking you and can't die.
Oh, so he's like the ultimate boss, except he doesn't really deal any damage. He just deals emotional trauma.
That is the perfect explanation.
That sounds about right.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, okay. So, I think we've discussed Guild Wars 2 reasonably enough, at least enough so that ArenaNet will not try to have my video taken down. So, there we go. Alright, so, our actual topic for this particular Sunday Sit-Down is music in video games and its role in the video game industry, which is something I'm pretty sure that our guest knows quite a bit about, considering he's structured his career around music.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing, although I don't really have any experience of the traditional route, which I guess would be working in a legitimate sense with game developers to make music, which is included in the game. All my music is basically fan tributes and stuff like that, but a few times it has been picked up by the developers, or at least the promoters, and they've sort of used it as part of their promotion campaign for the game, so that's cool. But yeah, everything I do is basically I see a game or a trailer which I enjoy, I get really excited about it, and I can't help then opening up Notepad and writing rhymes about it. It's a strange habit, but it's one that I enjoy.
Well, it's a very... You do really good work. I mean, I've seen even your most recent one, the Borderlands 2 video, which I very much liked. You have a very good sense of humor in your videos, and you managed to put things together in a very interesting way. I'm surprised that no developer has, this might be prying a little bit into your business, but I'm surprised no developer has actually asked you to like make a music track for a commercial or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have been talking to some developers now. It's definitely a direction that I want to go in, but as yet, I'm still kind of just on the fringes and performing unofficially. But what I'd like to eventually do is to make music which will be part of the game rather than just part of the promotion or the fan tributes. I'd love to somehow be involved in being part, like creating the world that's in the official game. I'd love that, but that seems like something that you need to have real musical qualifications and stuff in, but that's definitely something I'm working towards. I think indie developers are probably more open to having people like me contribute to their games, whereas if it's a big developer like EA or something, they're going to need like a classical composer, which I know nothing about, sadly.
Well, I can tell you right now, if I were making a game, you'd definitely be one of the first people I'd be trying to contact.
Well, I'll hold you to that then if you ever make a game. We'll count that as a legally binding deal.
Well, I used to study game design and development, but I kind of moved out of that when I ended up having to leave college. So that's kind of a pipe dream at the moment, but we'll see it. We'll see for the future.
Yeah. Well, I did music tech at university, and I dropped out in the first term because I didn't think I was learning the stuff I wanted to learn. So I dropped out and basically used tutorials and stuff and taught myself everything, and seems to have been fine. So I wouldn't say the fact that you had to leave college would be a reason to give up on the pipe dreams.
Yeah.
Well, considering that from what a lot of developers have actually said, most of them don't really go to college to get a degree in the development aspect of things. They pick up a specific engine, they just learn the shit out of it. Pardon my French.
Yeah, they end up learning programming languages. They take small part-time courses. They get their A+ certification, stuff like that, and that's what ends up actually landing them a job in the game design career.
One of the most interesting ways that I see that new developers are getting jobs is when they're part of the modding community, and they've worked on an amazing mod that's improved the game, and then the developer, I mean, initially mods were kind of frowned upon, and they still are by some developers, but it's actually, the modding community is a great way to see what people are capable of outside of the constraints of what the corporate heads are telling them to do. So I think that's really cool how people are doing stuff outside of the box, and then they're getting rewarded for it by being given a job.
Well, yes, I actually produced a video a couple of days back. I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was about a game called Air Buccaneers, and I don't want to seem like I'm
shamelessly plugging.
Yeah, shamelessly plugging this game, because after I released that video, these guys supported my channel quite a bit, but that's neither here nor there. But Ludocraft started off making a mod for Unreal Tournament 2004,
right?
Which was basically their current game, Air Buccaneers, but at a, like I said, it was a mod, so
level.
It wasn't as in depth as the current game is going to be when it's finally released.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a small modding group that's actually developed into a full game design company now.
That's really cool. It's good to see that that's still happening. I mean, if you go into like a game shop and look at the top selling games, it's kind of depressing because of how similar they are. But then if you kind of go down one layer, there's so much creative stuff and innovation and stuff happening at the lower level that it's really good to see. And I really hope that it carries on, like the indie gaming sector just keeps growing. I mean, Minecraft is probably the best example of this. I don't think anyone expected Minecraft was going to be the absolute sensation that it is now, but I don't know many people that haven't played Minecraft, and for an unknown indie developer, which is what they were, to be able to get to that level, that's just amazing.
Yes. Which is honestly what most of us YouTubers are basically trying to do.
Yeah. One of the best things as well is the fact that Minecraft is not a graphics game at all. It's just, I mean, when I first saw it, I almost kind of laughed at it because it looked like such an old game. But then when I played it, I realized what all the fuss was about, because it's the best way to explain why it's so successful is because it's not a game about destroying things. It's a game about creating things, and that's a really powerful thing, which we don't have much of.
Yeah, there aren't very many games that focus on the whole creation aspect of the game world, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have some real-time strategy games where you get to build up cities and stuff like that. You build your own base, but you don't really get to do it in such a creative way.
Yeah.
There's like optimized builds, and you have to do this and you have to do that, and that's how you win. Whereas in Minecraft, you can really just kind of have fun with it. You can build your own castle, and once you get bored with it, you can build a roller coaster ride out of minecarts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I said in my song about Minecraft, the reason why it's so great is that it's like a Lego set with infinite bricks. And I think I'm pretty proud of what I said there, because I usually log into Minecraft not to play a competitive game or anything, but just to kind of make something. Like, it's almost like the internet, the modern version of doodling on a piece of paper. That's how I see Minecraft.
I think you and In the Littlewood would get along quite well.
I'm not familiar with who that is.
Martin, he's a recent addition to the Yogscast. He released a hit song called Screw the Nether. It actually hit the top charts on iTunes.
Ah, yeah, I saw the promotion for that. I didn't realize that he was now part of the team.
Yes, he is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we've moved a little bit away from our central topic.
Yeah, what were we on again? Music and games.
Yes, music and video games, and their role. Now, as I'm sure you know, music originally started as kind of like chiptunes in the Atari game.
Atari, the Odyssey, which I feel like kind of ashamed to say that I still own one of these things. This thing is a beast.
Even game arcades with the original. Well, Pong itself didn't so much have music. I had written down the first game to have music, but I can't seem to recall it. Where did I put that? I don't remember. Well, basically, as things went along, games started actually, instead of just having simple noises, they started using the onboard sound cards and actually creating artificial music to put in the background of their game, which added quite a bit to the industry.
It opened a whole new door for the music industry to start peeking its head into.
Yeah, my kind of introduction to music and games, I guess, I was born in the mid-'80s, so the first gaming I did was on the Game Boy, and some of the music on there was just, I still remember it now, like the theme tune from Tetris, which I think is actually a famous Russian piece of music, but just the way that it's all arranged in like 8-bit bleeps and bloops is probably the most famous rendition of that piece of music, and the whole era of chiptunes and stuff. It just has such a warm, simple sound to it. You can see why there's still like a whole scene based around that kind of sound now.
Yes. Well, the fun thing about Tetris is that wasn't just used to like give the player something to listen to. The music would increase in pace as the game got faster, and it would actually kind of increase the player's tension. It was used in such a way to engage the player in a way that just having falling bricks couldn't.
I didn't realize that happened. I know that the tension increases when it gets faster, but that's pretty cool if that's the case.
It probably depends on which edition of Pong, which edition of Tetris you're playing. I remember the one that I had for my Game Boy did.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's an interesting point to raise as well, because there was an era when music in games was entirely passive and it was just a soundtrack, and then some developers started to realize that it didn't need to be like that, and depending on what happened in the actual game, there were different sound files for, you know, if you died, or if you were on low health, or if you were being chased, and then the music was dynamic and it changed depending on what you were doing, and that really added something. I mean, an example I can think of, one of the first games I got really immersed in on a whole new level was Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And when you were, it was usually the music was really nice and peaceful as you were walking around. But then if it became nighttime, the music would change. Or if you got attacked, the music would change. Various other things, and that just added so much more to it.
It added a dynamic that really pulled you right into it.
Yeah, and that's something
music
as well that
to me is something that I've really always loved, and especially when it comes to the games. Like, I'm obsessed when it comes to video game music. Like the soundtrack from Bastion is just incredible.
I haven't played Bastion, but I keep hearing good things, so I should probably give it a go.
Oh, definitely give it a go.
If for nothing else, actually just listen to the music that comes from that song, because it is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Is that a game then that has sound which is really affected by what you're doing in the game, as opposed to just being in the background?
Well, it is mostly background, but it's queued up to play at certain parts to add like a dramatic flourish to the game, I should say.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change dynamically, but there are musical cues, like once you walk into this area, this particular song will start playing.
Yeah. I think the music can really become part of the game world. I mean, one of my favourite types of game is open world games, like Oblivion. And in your mind, when you walk into a tavern or something, the music that plays when you go in there almost becomes part of the world that they've created. It's as important as the lighting or the textures or anything else.
I think another good example of a game that uses sound as dynamic cues, Left 4 Dead.
Yes, that's actually a very good point. I don't know if you've played that, Dan.
I'm not sounding like much of a gamer today, because I'm sure I've said about of half the games mentioned that I haven't played them. I do own Left 4 Dead, but I haven't played it yet. But I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Well, that game actually does have a lot of contextual music cues. For instance, there's and I'm sure a lot of our viewers know this, but there's a specific zombie in that game known as the Witch. And when you get into the same area as a witch, all the music kind of dies down.
Yeah. That's reminding me of a game that I can talk about, which is Silent Hill. And that didn't have music as such, but what was really interesting was you had a little radio, and when for some reason the radio detected the presence of like these supernatural enemies that you were against, and when the character walked closer to them, even if you couldn't see the enemies, you could hear the radio start to give off this static sound, and that is one of the most chilling soundtracks of any game I can think of. And there wasn't any music in it, it was just white noise, which I think was really cool.
Yes.
Ambient sound. That's really what it comes down to, is ambient sound really adds an element to a game.
Yeah.
Like, even Guild Wars 2 uses it.
Yes.
I think one of the cool things is that you don't notice it. If it's done really well, you don't know it's there. It's almost directly just altering your mood. You don't think, oh, this music's scary. You just think, I'm scared. And you don't realize that it's a big part of that is the music. I mean, if you watched a video of a scary game with the sound turned off, you wouldn't have that same level
Dead
of
Space
suspense.
did that very well.
Once again, Dead Space is a game I've only played the demo of, although I do own Dead Space. I really need to sit down and blitz through some of these games.
Yes, there is actually one segment in particular with Dead Space where there's just this woman singing faintly, "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star."
Oh, that's one of the creep. That seems to like the promo for it too.
As you get to certain places in that particular area, her voice gets like slowly louder and louder, and it's like, I don't think I want to keep on going this way, because I think if I find what's singing that song, it's going to murder me.
Yeah, that's quite a common trope, but it's really cool when like music from your childhood is mixed with something horrific and foreboding. It gives you a really creepy feeling, and yeah, that's really cool as well.
But I think one of the games that actually got me into RPGs in general, because I'm a big RPG gamer, was Final Fantasy VII. And that game, again, also used music in such a way to get you prepared for what's going on. It had a very nice soundtrack by Nobu Otonaga, something like that. His first name's Nobu, but he did the music in such a way that you had your overworld music, which was fine and dandy, but then you would run into a random encounter and immediately the music would switch to this really fast-paced battle music, and it would get you hyped up and ready for the fight that you were about to experience.
And it was always a fluid transition too, and that's something that I always enjoy when it comes to a game, is it moves from one score to another without any sort of pause or stop. It just...
Well, some games do. Not all games.
Yeah.
Not all games, but I really appreciate the ones that make that effort to make that fluid transition. That way you're not kind of like jarred out of the sequence.
That was one of the terrible things about Oblivion. The music was great, but the transitions, like as soon as something attacked you, it would just cut off the sound file that was playing and start the next one. It's much... Yeah, I know what you're saying when somehow they make an effort for it to segue into the next piece so you don't really notice the transition.
Speaking of that, Project Gianna, which is a game that's coming out very soon. Not very soon. It's a game that's currently very much in alpha, I should say. But that game has...
It's a
platformer.
soundtrack.
It's got an interesting dynamic in it where you can swap dimensions, right? There's a spooky dimension, and then there's a happy
cutesy, foresty, princessy dimension.
And your character has the same dynamic. In the spooky realm, she's this cute little yellow-haired girl. She's kind of like the Little Red Riding Hood lost in the woods.
Yeah.
And in the Happy Funtime realm, she's kind of like this punk rocker with purple hair and, bad attitude.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can switch at will between these two dimensions, and when you do, the music goes from this kind of light-hearted, happy tune to this dark, hard rock metal version of it, and it's just at a press of a button that this happens. But it's the same song. It's just like merged
different
together.
genre, but it transfers so fluidly.
So does it stay in time with the rhythm? So it's almost as if it's just the same music continuing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really cool
Exactly.
idea.
It just brings a whole new dynamic to the game. It's just absolutely
it's
impressive.
this whole world switch. The music syncs up, the background syncs up, the whole aesthetic of the game changes just with one button press, and it's actually critical to solving the game. Like, swapping these dimensions are actually extremely important. It's how you finish the platformer.
That's a really cool idea. So do you have different abilities in each dimension then? So you get to an area and you think, oh, I need to be in the happy dimension for this part, and then go forward and you need to realize you need to switch for some reason.
Well, not so much as that. Basically, this character has two abilities. She has a spin ability where she can spin up into the air and gently float down, and she has this ability where she turns into a fireball and flies straight in one direction.
Yeah.
And when you use the spin ability, you instantly turn into the happy girl, and when you do use the fireball ability, you instantly turn into the dark girl.
Ah, okay.
So you have to creatively use these in such a way to get through certain areas. For instance, like in the dark realm, this gate might be down, and in the light realm, that gate will be up. So you have to like time everything in the right way to make sure you're continuing to progress.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to. How do you spell it? Because is it G-E-N?
Gianna.
Project Gianna. Yeah, right in the Skype chat.
Okay, cool. I'll make a note of that because that sounds like the kind of game I'd be into.
Yeah, the guys are pretty nice. I contacted them personally, and they sent me well, not necessarily review code, but they sent me a link directly to go download their demo for it. So
That's cool. I'll have a look at that.
please do. All right. Is there any other in particular games that kind of use sound in a really effective way that we can think of?
I'd like to talk a bit about games where the sound is the focus of the game. There's one that I play on Steam quite often. It's called Audio Surf. I don't know if you've played that.
I know Asley has.
I have played it, and that's actually that's one of the kinds of games that I quite enjoy, because I get to see the music that I enjoy put into a very interesting visual.
Yeah, it's almost, I don't think of it as a game. I mean, it has some get modes where you try and get a high score and stuff, but I tend to put it on the kind of casual mode where basically, for people that don't know what Audio Surf is, you load your MP3s into it, whatever song you want, and it analyzes the waveform, and it creates a kind of futuristic racetrack based on the properties of the sound file, and you can race through the music as it plays. So if there's a loud part in the song, you'll go down a really steep hill with loads of lights shining, and then if it goes quiet and slow, you'll go slowly uphill. And it adds a whole new dimension just to being a listener of the music, because it's hard to explain, really. I think you ought to just go and play it. I think there's a demo of it on Steam, and it really just makes you appreciate the structure of your music that you're listening to a lot more.
Mm. Well, I'll definitely look forward to playing it myself. Like I said, I know Asley has played it before. I haven't really been able to touch it myself, but I will definitely be trying to amend that pretty soon.
Yeah, it's another one of those games that you play when you're not really gaming, like Minecraft and stuff like that. It's more of a
relaxing
something
game.
to do. Yeah, a way to pass the time between doing something where you can't get properly immersed into a full game.
Mm.
Like, to me, I think this is one of
waster.
this is one of those kinds of games. Like, if I'm on a plane and I'm going from one place to another, pull out the laptop, play a little audio stuff, like, oh look, we're there.
Yeah, it's great for that. That's reminded me of another game, actually, Civilization, which I play a lot because you can fit it into any amount of time, really, because it's turn-based. The Civ 4 is my favourite iteration of that game, and the music in that was very important to the way the game progresses, because the game progresses from the dawn of history where you've got barbarians and settlers and stuff in prehistoric times to the modern day. And as your civilization evolves, the music also evolves. So it plays music from that period in history. So it will start out with kind of primitive drum sounds, and then as you move into medieval and Renaissance era, it will play that kind of music, and then through the industrial era, it plays kind of romantic composers like Elgar and stuff, and then all the way into the modern era, and it adds so much more to the feeling of progressing through history. And because
when you get to the futuristic age, does it start playing dubstep?
they should release a mod that does that. I think the newest music in it it's probably by John Cage or Philip Glass or someone like that. They haven't got dubstep in it, but yeah, that's a good idea for the modding community to do.
All right, somebody get on that one. That would be great.
Yes, because all we need is the sound of two washing machines having sex, playing as the background music to a game.
I guess the final game I kind of want to talk about here, and of course this is a game that winds up getting brought up left and right. Now, I don't want to discuss the third one because I know you haven't played it yet, but Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Are we talking about it in a musical sense still?
Yes.
Yes.
The music in Mass Effect, I'm just trying to rack my brains to remember what it was like. I can remember now because on the menu screens and stuff, it was all very like ambient, long drawn out chords and bleeps and stuff, wasn't it? And it was a kind of, well, I don't want to say spacey feel because that's obvious, but it was almost dreamlike kind of feel.
Yes, but the thing is, music was always present in that game. It doesn't matter really what you were doing. There was always some kind of soundtrack you were listening to, and it always helped set the tone. I mean, I know you produced a video based on the intro to that.
Yeah, the music in my Mass Effect video was actually produced by a friend of mine, Ben Williams. I don't think it included any of the sound from the actual game, but I showed him some of the audio files from the game, and I said, can you make something brand new that sounds like it should be in this game? And he came up with that. I was really happy with that, because it did have that kind of... It's almost like what an orchestra would sound like in 500 years from now, how it might have evolved.
Well, I guess I was kind of mistaken. I thought you did have some of the music from the game in there, but...
It really does make it seem like it came from the game.
He must have done a good job then.
Big props to him.
Yeah, I'll pass the props on, because I was so happy with what he'd done there. He's a great producer. I've worked with him on my Assassin's Creed video and a couple of others as well. I always just say, I want it to sound as if this, and he'll just go away and mess around and come back with this amazing sound file. It's exactly how I wanted it, so... Yeah, props to Ben Williams for that.
Yes, well, you guys make a really great team. Keep doing what you're doing. I know Asley can't think of the song Scientist Solarian anymore, but...
we're not gonna get into that one.
Yeah.
Is this the one that's actually in the game when you're talking to... I've forgotten his name now.
Yes, the Gilbert and Sullivan parody.
I was impressed by that, because I geek out over complicated rhyme schemes and unnecessarily long words, so... That was an enjoyable part of the game for me.
Yes.
I had to play that one like 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah, when he rattled that out, I think I fell out of my chair just laughing.
Yeah.
It wasn't something you expected. It was very impressive. I think a lot of the music from Mass Effect was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It really just... It sets a tone. It gives that ambience of this is a futuristic world. Even the soundtracks when you're going into places like Afterlife or Purgatory or the Dark Star Lounge, all of these like techno vibed soundtracks.
Oh yeah. They all sound like they belong in the game world, don't they?
Right. What I found actually quite interesting
Even though
too.
Shepard can't dance for...
Oh, we're not gonna bring up Shepard's dancing ability. But I actually found out that the soundtrack, I believe, to Purgatory was done by an indie. It was done by an indie music artist.
Oh.
And they incorporated it into the game. What disappoints me though is I'm not entirely sure that they gave him credit. Which I'm quite disappointed at. I need to do a little bit more research on it, but from my understanding, the artist wasn't credited.
Really?
in the game's end.
He or she, I should say, gone public about that? Is there some kind of controversy, or how come they weren't credited?
I'm not entirely sure. I guess that artist had actually worked with the developers to come up with music, and that particular song was left behind.
Yeah.
When he left, and they ended up using it,
right,
or something to that effect. Like I said, I need to do a little bit more research on it. I'm really hoping that wasn't the case, because that would be a very big disappointment.
Well, if we learn what's going on with that, I'll be more than happy to throw up a couple of annotations in this video and hopefully clarify what actually occurred. Besides, it's not like really anybody's watching this too much to see me fail at Guild Wars 2. I hope they're here for the discourse.
At least it's not footage of me playing Guild Wars and just shouting at my screen and saying, "What the hell's happening?"
Oh, don't feel bad. We all have those moments.
I'll definitely be making sure to check your World v World footage after this. It's
probably not very comforting watching. It's just me running around trying not to die and then dying. It's not the most riveting viewing.
It is a very, very chaotic mode. I actually have a guild that I've been working with, and we're trying to get some organization into PvP, but there's only so much you can do with 50 individual players who all have minds of their own.
Yeah. I was going to say which server are you on, but you'll be in an entirely different region, won't you? Because I'm in the European server area.
Yeah, I'm in Sanctum of Ral. That said, there's going to be a guest system coming out sometime in the future, so playing together would not be that
far off.
Okay, cool. I'm in Underworld on the European servers if anyone's interested.
Alright, I will definitely look into that for the future. But I think we're starting to run out of time. We have been at this for about 56 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered basically most of the main bases about games, and we've talked about the origin of music in games. We've talked about how music enhances games, and then we've talked about games which are based around music. I don't know if there's anything else, is there? If there is, people can probably...
Unless we want to talk like about Rock Band or something like that, where music is the literal mechanic.
I don't like Rock Band very much, or those kind of games, because I play the guitar, so it kind of seems like a step backwards to hold a plastic guitar with buttons on it. I don't really enjoy those games that much.
We actually have a friend of ours who says the exact same thing. She hates playing the game, and she plays guitar, she plays violin, and
yeah.
We brought the game over for her to try out at one point, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is impossible."
I found the same thing. I think it's because you have a different sense of timing as a musician, and you're not when you're a musician, you don't compensate for lag which happens on the controller with a game. You're actually hitting slightly too late, because gamers are almost preempting the moment and pressing the button then, whereas a musician will be pressing the button exactly when they think it should happen on the beat. I noticed this phenomenon with my friends. The people who are musically trained were worse at Rock Band and Guitar Hero than the ones who had no musical training.
We actually had some of that issues ourselves. Like, when I was in high school, I played clarinet in the marching band and concert band, and that was actually something that I had a little bit of difficulty with, is making sure that I kept the beat and the general timing of all this music. It was damn near impossible. We kept having to recalibrate the game to try to compensate for it, and it was really difficult.
Yes, I think I finally got a latency that we were both happy with on the TV, but otherwise, somebody with excellent musical timing, I could see how they would have a lot of difficulty with it.
Yeah, it creates a bit of frustration. So as I say, it's kind of more fun for me to just pick up an actual guitar and play. But I'm definitely not criticizing the game, because a lot of people have so much fun with those games. But yeah, it's not one that I enjoy playing much.
Alright, you heard it here, folks. Dan Bull thinks that Rock Band is a rubbish game series. You can send all your hate mail to...
Actually, there's a new game coming out. I think it's called Rocksmith, and it's similar, but you do plug in an actual guitar into the game. Guitar with strings and stuff.
I have heard about that.
I don't know anything else about it. I just saw a I just kind of saw a thumbnail image and it said that. But I'm going to do some reading into that because that does sound interesting.
You know, you throwing a video of yourself playing that would probably be pretty cool.
That's a good idea, actually. But I'll have to test it privately first to see if it suffers from the same issues before I make myself look like a non-musician, which wouldn't be good.
You know, actually, speaking of that game, my dad actually brought something up related to that fact.
Your dad might have been talking about that specific game, and
he might have been and not realized it. Yeah, but my dad actually takes guitar lessons. Your dad is pretty
computer illiterate.
Oh, we're not going to
technology illiterate. I should say.
My dad actually is taking lessons from a pretty well-known gentleman in music circles. He does a Journey tribute band.
Yes.
He's really, really good. He gets to go to all these different expos, but this
that we're
gentleman,
not invited to.
No, this gentleman was actually talking about a computer program or a game that was like Rock Band, but allowed drummers and pianists and keyboardists and guitarists to just come in and plug their instruments in and make.
Is he just talking
music.
About reality? Because you can do that in reality.
No. It was to. I guess it was to prove a point that a lot of these games related to music just don't give the music enough credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't. I'm probably not explaining this the right way, but it's making music seem too simple when it really isn't.
Why teach yourself how to play Rock Band when you could go out and teach yourself to play a real guitar?
Yeah, that was kind of the point I think they were trying to make.
Same amount of time, and one is a little bit more
rewarding.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure that was the point that they were trying to make on it too.
Yeah. Well, what someone should do is create a musical instrument that is controlled by a Rock Band or a Guitar Hero guitar, and then it would be a legitimate instrument. That would be quite ironic.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
That honestly kind of reminds me of Rock and Rule. In one of the opening scenes to that movie, one of the main characters, their guitar looks like a Rock Band guitar.
Yeah.
I kid you not, it was one of the funniest things.
It might be a MIDI guitar. There's such a thing as a MIDI guitar, and it's like a keyboard, except it's on a guitar, and each of the buttons on the frets trigger MIDI. So you could probably apply that to all sorts of crazy digital music. But I've never tried one, but I've always wanted to try it.
Does Buckethead use one of those?
It sounds like something he might.
Actually, you know what? I think he might.
He does some weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't particularly know. His guitar has these really big buttons on it that'll hit every once in a while, and they'll do weird electronic Star Wars sounds.
He might have a sampler built into his guitar, which I've never heard of, but that's cool as well. That means that he has buttons which are just triggering wave files to be played, that would be cool. I wouldn't mind having one of those on my guitar.
Now you're making him jealous for all these new toys.
All right. Well, like I said before, I think we are pretty much out of time and out of the topic for today. So closing out, shameless plugins for our respective channels. Dan Bowl, is there anything interesting that you are coming out with that you might want people to know?
Well, I've just launched a second channel now, as well as my main channel, which is YouTube/Duggleby, where I put my music. I've got a second channel where I'm trying to put as much gameplay footage as I can, and I'm trying to create some comedic characters to play through the games rather than just being me. So if you'd like to see that, then go to youtube.com/DanBullGames, and you'll see me. At the moment I'm playing Borderlands, Guild Wars, and League of Legends, and I'll be playing plenty more soon.
Alright, cool. And everybody knows where we are, because that's where this particular video is. So
we don't need to give them the link, they already know it.
Well, sounds like fun. There's no big games that I currently have on mind that we're going to be releasing videos of. So, thank you very much for appearing on the show, Dan. It's been lovely having you.
It's been a pleasure.
It was a great time.
Thank you for inviting me onto the show.
No problem. Anytime. I'd be willing to talk to you again in the future.
Okay, cool. We'll see about that.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Dan, and for now, we'll see you next time on the TheCyanFirefly.
See ya.
See you guys. Bye.